So you make fan films based on video games like Mario and Tomb Raider. How do you decide which games to turn into movies?
Well, it's based on whatever resources I have available to me at the time. So we use like Tomb Raider as an example. I knew Sarah, whom I believe y'all have had on the show, who's a really talented author and actress, but she was also a cosplayer at one point. And I would go to various Comic Cons to film these cosplay music video highlight reels at the cons. And so that's how I met her. Is I knew she had a really cool Laura Croft cosplay. And so that's kind of what gave me the idea is I was like, well, it probably wouldn't be super expensive to go out one weekend and film a Laura Croft Tomb Raider fan film with her. So that's what we did.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today. And I'm your host, Tiberius Boy. And as always, we're looking at various jobs and how they affect the world around us. Today's guest is going to be very interesting. We're going to interview a guy who makes movies, works with really famous people, and even runs his own studio. Now, do we know what a filmmaker does? Well, I think I have a great idea and a great sense of it, but let's just talk to this guy and find out. Let me introduce our next guest, the one, the only, the amazing Josh Mason.
What's up? Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's an honor to be here.
So, you're listed as a filmmaker, YouTuber, and a studio owner. That's a lot of stuff. So, how'd you even get started in all of this?
Well, in high school, my high school English class, freshman year, I had a teacher named Miss Paige Wormuth who gave us a class project assignment on To Kill a Mockingbird. And I asked her if it would be possible, could I make a little short film based off of some chapters in the book. And thankfully she said yes, because that led to everything that I went on to do after that. And all throughout my high school career, every time anything, opportunity would come up to do a class project, I would make a little short film on it. And then I found that I just really enjoyed that and was very passionate about it. And I'd always loved movies my entire life, even as a kid. I just grew up on film and was always very inspired by the films of Spielberg and Lucas and all that. And then after high school, I was like, well, I think I want to keep doing this. So then that spiraled into me making like YouTube shorts and actual short films. And then that kind of spiraled into me doing actual video production stuff for clients. So whether that be like local business owners or in some cases even famous people and celebrities. So that was kind of how I got started with all of it. And it was all because of To Kill a Mockingbird in high school.
So that was the first thing you ever filmed? Like, was it seriously filming, or were you just goofing around?
Well, we took it seriously, but it was really me and my family just goofing around, and the video was definitely more of like a comedy vibe, of us just goofing off. And it's not a good film at all. Like, if you go back and rewatch that early stuff, you could tell I was just some kid who didn't know what he was doing with a video camera. So yeah, it was definitely us more goofing off, I guess, than being serious.
So you run Mason Studios. Did you always want to start your own company?
I don't think that was something I thought about a lot as a kid. I don't think I ever was like, oh, one day I'm going to grow up and start my own businesses or whatever. But it was ingrained in me early on that that's kind of what you do because I come from a family of business owners. My dad ran an arcade company in the 1980s, which ran arcade machines like Pac-Man and Galaga and all that. And it was called Jerry's Amusement Company. And then I had an uncle who owned his own businesses. And then my oldest brother, he owns a bunch of his own businesses. So I just kind of grew up around that. And I just thought that that's what you do as you get older and you grow up is you go and you found your own business. So that was kind of just ingrained in me, I guess, early on.
So you make fan films based on video games like Mario and Tomb Raider. How do you decide which games to turn into movies?
Well, it's based on whatever resources I have available to me at the time. So we use like Tomb Raider as an example. I knew Sarah, whom I believe y'all have had on the show, who's a really talented author and actress, but she was also a cosplayer at one point. and I would go to various Comic Cons to film these cosplay music video highlight reels at the cons. And so that's how I met her. Is I knew she had a really cool Laura Croft cosplay, and so that's kind of what gave me the idea. Is I was like, well, it probably wouldn't be super expensive to go out one weekend and film a Laura Croft Tomb Raider fan film with her. So that's what we did, and then that film took off, and I guess is sort of one of the ones I'm most well known for. But that's kind of how that film came to be. So it's usually based off whatever resources I have available to me, and whatever films I think I can put the most interesting spin on.
So was it hard to make those projects look real without having a Hollywood budget?
Yeah, 100%. When you don't have $300 million laying around like some of the big studios like Disney or Warner Brothers, it makes it much more difficult. And an example of our most expensive film we ever did was my Legend of Zelda fan film, which had a budget of $10,000. And even with that film, there were still things about it that I wasn't 100% happy with. So it's just a testament to the fact that no matter how much money you have, how little money you have, or how much money you have, whether it be millions of dollars or even just a few thousand, sometimes the films won't come out as good as you might have hoped. And then in other cases, like with Mario Brothers, I spent very little money on that movie. I mean, it was really a shoestring budget, and I think that movie is universally much more beloved than my Legend of Zelda film. So you don't always have to spend a bunch of money to make a good movie. It's really based off just how good of an idea you have, and the team of people you have working on the film.
So what's the difference between a fan film and a regular movie?
Well, fan films are essentially films where you don't actually have the copyrights to make the movie. So the legal loophole there to kind of get away with making the fan films versus something like, we'll use the recent Superman film that came out. So, right, Superman came out, it's Warner Brothers. They own the film rights to make the Superman movie. So therefore, they can go release a Superman film and make all this money off the box office because legally they're allowed to do that because it's their character. Whereas, say I decided to make a Superman fan film, what I would do is go make this film, either put it through film festival or on YouTube or however I decide to release it. But the trick is I cannot monetize it legally because I don't own that film. So therefore, it's a fan film. And that's basically the key difference is if you're someone who just is a passionate fan, who's passionate about a certain IP or franchise, but you don't actually own the rights to that character, then you can make a fan film. The big stickler, though, is just do not monetize it because that's a big no-no. They don't like it when you do that.
Okay, so Josh, this is a hard one. How do you make a living from filmmaking? I mean, I know that inflation's going up every day.
Right. So the answer to that for fan film specifically, the answer is technically you can't, but you can indirectly make money off of that. So what I've done is I also own Masonite Digital Marketing, which is a digital marketing agency that produces videos and like television commercials and different types of video products for either business owners or celebrities or influencers or whoever needs video production work. And what I've done is that kind of spun out of Mason Studios. And there was a lot of people who came to know me through Mason Studios and the film projects and things I would do with that. And so those people would then hire me because they may have seen a fan film that I produced. So they would then hire me to come film a television advertisement for their business or their brand. So to answer your question, no, you can't directly make money off of fan films because, again, that's a big no-no. They don't like if you do that. But you can indirectly by doing other video production-based businesses like I do with the digital marketing agency. And then when it comes to original films, those you can make money off of because you can either sell those to streaming services or you can, well, not so much anymore, but there was a time where you could produce like Blu-rays or DVDs and sell physical formats of the movie. So yeah, that's how you can make some money off of the video production stuff.
So if a kid listening today really wanted to become a filmmaker like you, what advice would you give them?
Consistency. I would tell them to stick with it. I have seen so many indie filmmakers and people that were trying to get into video production start it, or in some cases they're just starting a YouTube channel or something, and they'll do just one or two videos, and then maybe they're not getting the views they want, or maybe they didn't win an award at a film festival, or maybe they got denied entry into a film festival or something like that, and they'll get discouraged and then they'll just give up. And my advice is to never do that, because when I started out, I made horrible films because I had no clue what I was doing, and I just stuck with it. I just was resilient and consistent, and I kept doing it. And that's the only way you learn at anything in life, is just by consistently doing it over and over again. And eventually, you can learn, how to make things better, and that's what I did. And over time, I just, taught myself how to make movies and taught myself how to get better at it and kept doing it. And now I've gotten to work with some really cool people, and all of that is because I stuck with it. And so that's the main thing I would tell people, is just whatever it is you're trying to do in life, keep doing it. And no matter how terrible you may be at first, the only way you're going to get better is by continuing to do it.
So think about it, guys. Could you be the next one making the next fan film or viral video? I mean, Josh started just like any of us. And here seems like a good time to take a quick commercial break. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
So you want to make an ad for your company, right?
Yeah, Tiberius, you want to help me?
Okay, so what's the name of the company?
PPWND.
PP what?
Professional Pressure Washing and Detailing.
So you like clean driveways?
Yeah, like that. We pressure wash commercial buildings and semi-truck and trailers.
So how would someone get a hold of you?
They can visit my site at ppwnd.com or call me at 407-900-7793.
So I just tell them to call you at 407-900-7793 or visit ppwnd.com?
Yeah, Tiberius, you got it.
Cut, that's a wrap. Just use that.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
And we're back here talking with Josh Mason, filmmaker and video production pro. So Josh, did you go to film school or did you teach yourself?
I did not go to film school. I'm completely self-taught. Just learned through getting various editing programs and different types of camera equipment over the years, and just dove headfirst into all of it. And if there was something I couldn't figure out, I would either just mess with something until I eventually learned how to do it, or YouTube and Google is a great tool to use to learn how to do things you may not know how to do. So yeah, I was completely self-taught, and I have worked with some people over the years that did go to film school. And ironically, the funniest thing about that is there's some things they've taught them in film school that I actually disagreed with. And I'm not saying that everything about film school would necessarily be bad. I think that, there's still, I'm sure, plenty that they can teach you. But I'll give you just one example. There was one individual I worked with, it was a cinematographer on a project, and the film school they had went to had apparently taught them to only leave the camera on a tripod, like at all times for every shot, no matter the shot they were getting, which drove me crazy as a filmmaker, because I was always very inspired by like Michael Bay films, who traditionally does a lot of handheld shots and he runs around with his video camera. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting that, there's certain things that film schools teach that I don't fully agree with. So in some ways, I think it may be better that I was self-taught, because I learned my own way of doing things, and film school might have taught me a way to do things that I may not have fully agreed with.
So what was the hardest lesson that you had to learn when starting out?
I guess two things, mainly just figuring out how to work all the equipment, how to work the editing programs, and all the different functions of a video camera and all that. But eventually, you get all that figured out. The second thing would probably be how to lead a group of people. That's a very important skill to have when you're doing filmmaking or any type of video production, because you've got to, corral all these people together and get them all on the same page and get everybody to kind of support your vision and realize your vision. And sometimes you can have one or two people in there. It's like a big machine, right? Filmmaking or a film set's like a big piece of machinery, and if you've just got one or two cogs in the machine that don't work right, then it breaks the whole machine down, right? So just kind of leading, guiding, and directing a group of people is the biggest challenge that I've had to teach myself and overcome over the years. So yeah.
So what do you do when something goes wrong while you're filming?
Well, you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to adapt very quickly because it's not so much if something goes wrong, something almost always will on a film set because so many moving parts. I've not made a single film yet where there wasn't at least something that went wrong at some point. So an example would be on our Tomb Raider fan film we did. It started raining during one of the outside scenes we were shooting. And me and some of the other cast were all just sitting in our cars trying to wait for the rain to pass, and it just wouldn't. It was just like hours going by, and it just kept raining. So finally, I was like, you know what? We're just going to film the scene anyway. So we literally filmed the scene in the rain. I had one of the production assistants holding a big mattress above me and the camera's head. Not so much because I was worried about getting wet. I didn't care if I got wet, but I just didn't want the camera obviously getting wet. And it ended up being one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it was shot here in the West Tennessee area, but it ended up looking like it was actually shot like in some rainforest in Central America or something. So it just completely changed the entire dynamic of that scene because it's actually raining, in that scene in the movie. And so that was an example of kind of when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So when you're making movies, you got to be willing to adapt, when life throws you those curveballs.
So what's the most misunderstood part of your job that people just don't get?
I don't know if this is a problem now so much because I feel like I've done a pretty good job making a decent name for myself, and I've gotten to work with so many cool celebrities, and we've won some awards that I'm very thankful that we've won, and got some recognition online for some of the film projects and things. But early on, there was kind of, especially locally, because I'm in a community that's not real big into filmmaking. It's a small town in West Tennessee, so I think there was a lot of questioning from people about like what exactly was it that I was doing? Like, what's this guy's like running around with a camera and him and his friends are filming stuff? Like, that's kind of weird. Like, why aren't you out, hunting deer and fishing and mudding like all the other normal people around here? And so I think there was some questioning about what it was that was going on when I started doing it early on. But now I think people understand because some of the accolades and things that have happened over the years, where I've sort of made a name for myself. I think people are like, oh, okay, that all of that early on when he was making those silly, goofy, cringy videos eventually led to all the cool stuff I get to do now. And none of that would have happened had I not made those early videos that people were questioning. So that was probably the main thing that I had to overcome early on.
So what inspired you the most, when you were a teenager?
I'll tell you the single movie that really inspired me to really want to get into filmmaking was Transformers that came out. Michael Bay's first Transformers movie that came out in 2007. That was like a life-changing experience for me. Michael Bay's my favorite director. I know he gets a lot of flack and he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I love me a good summer blockbuster with action and explosions and car chases and giant robots fighting and all that. And it's the reason I own a Camaro now because Bumblebee in that movie is a Camaro. So that was kind of what inspired me to get that car. But I saw that movie and was just in awe as a teenager watching that film and watching what Michael Bay did with it. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
So why would a kid listening today want to grow up and do your job?
Well, because it's fun, and I think like when I was a kid, I wanted to be an archaeologist, and because I was a big fan of like the Indiana Jones movies. But then as I got older, I realized that archaeology is actually a pretty boring job. Like you're in the library a lot, and you're not really running from boulders and doing all the cool, fun stuff that Indiana Jones does. So I realized that the adventure is not really so much in like archaeology or that type of stuff. It's really in the filmmaking process itself. So it's just a blast. I've had tons of fun making films, and so I would encourage any kid that might have any interest in it to look into it and possibly pursue that as something that they might one day do as a career.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And we're back here talking with Josh Mason from Mason Studios. Let's continue. So, what's next for your career? Can you tell us more about your original feature film, Cinematic Adventure?
Yeah, so I'm planning on getting away from making so many fan films and focusing more on original content and original films. So I'm developing this film called Cinematic Adventure, which is sort of inspired by my first job. My first job ever when I was 16 years old. I was a movie theater usher. So this film is about a teenage kid who's a usher at a movie theater, and he's tasked with staying overnight to get the place cleaned up because there's this big red carpet event the next day. And something happens during the night where all of the movies come to life, and so all these different movie characters literally come off the screen and start running amok in the theater. And so he's tasked with sort of restoring order and trying to get all these characters back in their movies. So he has to deal with like dinosaurs and pirates and robots and just all these characters from all these various genres of movies. So it's something I'm very excited about, very passionate about, and it's sort of going to be like my love letter to cinema, when we get that one made.
So, do you think AI has a positive role in your industry at all, or are you worried it might take over parts of a job and, cost people a living?
Both. I think it has a place in that it could be utilized to make certain special effects work go much faster. So I think that there's ways it could be utilized if people use it the right way and in just very certain circumstances. At the same time, I also don't like how it takes away from some of the creativity of the actual people who work on film projects. And I do think that we're probably, sadly, 5 to 10 years out from having a full-length feature film made that has almost no human attachment to it whatsoever, that is just fully AI. And I don't like that. I don't think that's the way to go. I think AI could be used to support some of the creative endeavors, but I don't never want to see it just completely take over the industry and take over everyone's jobs. I think that's something that could happen that I don't want to see happen.
So, Josh, what do you do for fun when, you're not working?
I do game a little bit from time to time. I'm a bit of a gamer, so been playing lots of Call of Duty lately, and I'll spend a couple hours every night, playing some video games here and there.
So, what's your favorite one?
Big fan of Legend of Zelda. So all the Legend of Zelda games. Ocarina of Time was my jam when I was 8 years old, and so I grew up on that and played Breath of the Wild and pretty much all the mainline Zelda games. And then I'm also a big fan of the Elder Scrolls series, so Skyrim and the recent Oblivion remaster. Those are games that I'm a big fan of. So any of the fantasy RPG stuff is what I'm into.
So what's your favorite book to read?
Also fantasy genre. I'm a big fan of Tolkien, so the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit, I think are some of the greatest pieces of literature ever. Really, really like those books. And then when I was younger, I was a big fan of Crichton's novels. Michael Crichton, his Jurassic Park book is really good, and as much as I love the movie, I actually think the original Jurassic Park novel is better than the film, believe it or not. So yeah, that's the kind of books I'm into.
Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show. The one story, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
Yeah. So I'll give you guys an exclusive, a really cool exclusive. I'll try to keep this as brief as I can. But I was fortunate enough this past October, I got to do a really cool collaboration with the actor Jackson Robert Scott. who's a young actor. He played Georgie in the films It and It Chapter 2. He was also on the TV show Lock and Key. But he was going to be at a convention in Atlanta that I was also going to. So I reached out to his team to see if we could do a little bit of a collaboration together and have him in one of my YouTube videos. And fortunately enough, his agent reached back out to me and agreed that was something we could do. And so we kind of negotiated back and forth on, everything about it. And then toward the end of the negotiations, after it seemed like it was a sure thing, I had emailed the agent back and was like, hey, so who's my contact going to be on site when we get there, so that we can, organize the collaboration. And then he didn't get back to me. So then a couple weeks go by and it's time for the convention. And I'm under the assumption now that, we're just not going to do the collaboration. And then I'm halfway to Atlanta in the parking lot of a Buc-ee's, and I get a phone call from the agent saying, hey, Josh, so we're all set to do the collaboration, and here's all the details, yada, yada. And I am completely unprepared. I've got like a barbecue sandwich and one of the big super gulp drinks in my arms, and I'm on the phone with his agent, and we needed a yellow raincoat because it ties in with his role as Georgie for the video. Didn't have that with me, was just completely unprepared. So I scrambled last minute, and when I got to the hotel, I got someone to Uber a yellow raincoat to the hotel for us to use in the video for the collaboration, and I had to kind of throw all this stuff together last minute. It ended up working out. We got the video done. He's in the video. You can see it on my YouTube channel. It's the Days of the Dead Atlanta video, and it was really cool that I got to do a collaboration with him. But I've often said after the fact that the story of how that all came about and came together is in some ways more interesting than the video itself. But I also, he was really cool. Jackson and his dad were both really, really cool. And it was cool to get to collab with them. But I did kind of hint around to them that they might want to work on their agents' communication skills a little bit. So that's an exclusive. I haven't told that story anywhere. So for anybody that saw that video, that was some of the chaos that occurred in the process of making that.
Well, I know that I promise that I won't tell anyone.
Well, it's out there now, so
Well,
feel
is
free.
there anything else you think my listeners should know about you and what you do?
Not really, just that it's fun, and I encourage anybody who's looking into possibly getting into filmmaking to do it. Go for it, or just anything that you're interested in life, whether it be music or sports or whatever career you may be looking into getting into. Just go for it, and teach yourself as much as you can. And whatever you can't teach yourself, you can learn from other people, or you can always learn from YouTube. But just whatever it is people are passionate about, I always encourage them to pursue those dreams and pursue whatever it is that they want to do in life. Because it's worked out for me so far.
So what's the best place for teens to find your videos or follow you online?
So Mason Studios on YouTube. It's MASON space STUDIOS. We also have Facebook page, Instagram, all that. It's all Mason Studios. That's where you can see all of our video projects. We've done all the fan films. We've got cosplay music videos that are on there. I'm actually going to Chicago next month to film another cosplay music video. But you can find all our projects right there on Mason Studios channel.
Well, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
I can't think of anything. I think you've covered all the bases. I think you've done a really good job doing the interview. Let's see, is there anything you forgot to ask?
Anything.
I can't think of it. I genuinely can't think of anything.
Okay.
You've covered all the bases, man.
Well, thank you so much, Josh, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And now it's time for Math Corners. Thank you so much, Josh, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to solve multi-step word problems. My dad is always good at finding problems for me to solve, and this week, we're going to do a word problem that has to do with making fan films. I mean, come on, you're the pro, so you should be good for this one, right?
I'm terrible at math, so probably not, but I'll try my best.
Okay, so Frankie's planning to make a fan film based on a really popular video game. He has to film 60 scenes, but each scene takes 5 hours to shoot. But he can only film on weekends, and he films 2 scenes per weekend. How many weekends will it take Frankie to finish filming all the scenes?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm gonna just take a guess. Let's say 20, 25, 26 weekends, somewhere around there.
Close, but you know what?
Oh,
I'll
wow,
just
really?
explain it. Well, first, this is a real world problem because if you want to plan out how long a project will take, especially when you've had a deadline, you've got to do the math. So even though each scene takes 5 hours, that doesn't change how many weekends it takes. It just changes how long each weekend shoot will be. So, like normal, my dad's putting in stuff that we don't need. So we have 60 scenes, and we divide it by 2 scenes per weekend. And that gives us 60 divided by 2 is 30. So if you're planning out your filming schedule, you'd know to set aside 30 weekends to finish all the scenes. Now that's some good planning.
Okay.
So you were close with 25, 26, but it was 6. It was 30.
Well, I'm glad you knew the answer because I'm terrible at math, so good job.
So Josh, when you're filming your movies, do you have to schedule out your days like this so everything runs smoothly?
Oh, yeah. You definitely have to schedule everything and plan things out. And, yeah, it's a big part of the filmmaking process for sure.
Now, you said you were bad at math, but my teacher said that I would use math every day. How do you use math with your work?
I use it a lot in the video editing process. I'm sure you may be familiar with this because y'all do this show, but in editing programs, you have what's called the timeline where you drop your video, clips into and all that. And so a lot of times you've got to look at how long of a clip you've got and what the timeline is. And there's a lot of math and numbers involved with all that when you're editing video projects down. So it's not so much math in the filming process, but in the post-production process, there is a good bit of math that I have to use.
Well, thank you so much, Josh, for your help with Math Corners.
Yeah, thank you.
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the Heart of a Lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. So, at my high school orientation, because I'm going to be a freshman this year, I saw real leadership when one of the student guides noticed a few kids looking lost and nervous, including me. Yes, I actually get nervous. So instead of just sticking to his script, he came over, asked our names, and walked us to where we needed to be. He told us what to expect, cracked a few jokes to make us laugh, and made sure no one was left out. He wasn't just giving a tour, he was looking out for everyone. That's what real leadership is. It's stepping up and making people feel like they belong. So, Josh, do you have an example of leadership that you saw this week?
Yeah, so this is the past couple of weeks I've seen this. We have a local movie theater here in our area. It's actually in Atoka, Tennessee. And it went under some managerial shifts where it's under new ownership now. And a good buddy of mine became the new general manager of the theater. And it previously was kind of known in the community that it was just not a great theater. They would not turn the air conditioner on, and they were overpriced, and I think they had just a lot of different problems. And he's come in and done a really good job turning it around and making it a really good theater and movie-going experience. And so his name's Steven, and I really commend him because I was fortunate enough I got to film a little promo video for the theater, and he was featured in it. And I kind of got to watch how he interacted with some of his employees, which are all younger kids, teenage kids that are working there. And you can tell it's just night and day from how the previous ownership of the theater interacted with their employees. So that was what I really noticed. Is I really commend him on that. Is he's really good with people, and he's got very good people skills. So yeah, that would be how I saw leadership have a positive impact this past week. Is just how he's running that movie theater.
Well, we should always try to be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
100%. Absolutely.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Josh Mason for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think we learned a lot about your work as a fan filmmaker and all the cool stuff that you do.
Yeah, it's been a blast, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, do you mind giving your social media and website again so my people can follow you?
Sure. So it's Mason Studios on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can check out all our videos there. And then if anybody does need video production work done, they can check us out. It's masonitedigitalmarketing.com. And you can find all the information there on all the services that we provide as far as video production, website design, and all the rest.
And also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And I would like to thank WWPR 1490 AM, Canton 98, Soul Radio 24/7, Easy Way TV, and all the other stations that air on my show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Josh, are you subscribed yet?
Absolutely. I got you. Got you covered.
Oh, and this week, Mark Cunningham says, love the art. And Addie Tillman says, this is amazing. Please post more often. I'm your biggest fan. Well, thank you so much, Addie, for your support. And be sure to leave me a comment if you want to. And I haven't even mentioned yours at the end of the show. I mean, let's be honest. I do it a lot. Also, be sure to listen to us next on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.